And we can get started. We looked at your proposals and introductions. Well, I guess I know you guys have examples of these. Do I say on it?
Sure, I'm Angie Sliga, CAO and CHRO for USF.
Michael Farrell, Associate Vice President, Human Resources.
Steve Talbot, Vice Provost for Faculty Administration and Professor of Global Studies.
I'm Mike Banamore. Direct Solis on the James Fund.
Chris Garvin, Professor of Design, Dean of the College of the Arts.
Gregory McComb, Chapter Secretary and Mathematical Crystallographer.
The Permeus College of Education.
Arthur Shapiro College of Education and Membership Chair.
Karen Brownsberger, Chief Negotiator, also bargaining chair, and I'm a professor of sustainable entrepreneurship in the Development Center. Entrepreneurship. And thanks for coming, guys.
Susan Arya, University Librarian. It's been a needed moment. I'm treasurer for USF and the instructor.
Tim Boas, I'm an Associate Professor Emeritus of the College of Behavioral and Community Sciences.
Well, welcome everyone.
So we've been very busy in preparing for this session, and we did prepare counter proposals for two of the articles that you suggested last time, specifically 6 and 20. Or can I think not going to be 100?
Yeah, it's okay.
So what we basically did on Article 6, we did not assign the rights to deal with violations caused by discrimination to HR to deal with that. That was not the best. So what we did is we came up with a proposal where we highlight all of the different types of discrimination, not just sexual harassment, which was the majority of Article 6 previously, and we also included bullying. So what we also did is we started with clean copy of Article 6 in the current CBA, and then we used track changes in order to highlight the things that we threw out or the things underlined, the things that we put. That should make it easier.
You're taking out the section that says that relationships between employees and students, even if consensual, can become exploitive.
Well, this is the CBA. The CBA regulates relationships between faculty and administrators. Student issues are not, the CBA does not rule on student-related issues. That's why we do that.
I think our thought on this though is that it's not really regulating the relationship, but regulating faculty conduct.
Because
Yeah, but faculty conduct and how they relate to students, you have university policy. I mean, we're not saying that faculty should have sexual relationships with students. I would say that most of us might have thought of that pretty gross. But the CBA is a collective bargaining agreement, which is supposed to regulate the conduct between faculty and administrators.
but part of that is administrators have the ability to address issues with faculty and relationships with students.
Okay, I mean, we can put it back in, but in your proposal, I think you put that out too, didn't you?
Did we just,
Yeah, I think you took this whole thing, and I mean, you basically reduced the Article 6 to just being discriminated against because you are a youth state union.
Yeah, because we,
Yeah, but
All
it's
that-
gone. I mean, you threw this out.
right,
Just,
because later it talks about all that'll be handled through a different university office where those policies reside.
But now if you're gonna put it back into the contract, then it
okay,
all has to be.
so let's just go back before this CBA happened, 21 to 24. Because before that happened, we didn't have all this emphasis on Title IX in there, okay? All the stuff that has to do with Title IX was written by Maggie Denny, who is the director of Title IX. But I've been dealing with Maggie Denny on a lot of different cases, and she educated me that Title IX has to be used if there is a sexual misconduct case that involves a student But if you have a sexual misconduct case that involves faculty, administrators, that can be handled through Title VII. So we just threw out everything that had to do with Title IX because it doesn't really have anything to do with faculty, unless the faculty member sexually harasses a student. But before the 21-24 CBA, this stuff on Title IX and student issues wasn't even on the contract. And since Title IX is not really relevant for us, because we have some cases where we had administrators sexually harassing faculty members, all of those were dealt under Title VII. So since we're not really using Title IX when we are regulating conduct between administrators and faculty, there's really no reason why any of this stuff should be. Saying, you understand what I'm saying? It wasn't in there before the 21-24 contract.
Because the law changed.
Okay.
It created obligations. Built out.
I mean, if you want to have it back in there, I don't think that we have a problem with this.
Yeah, well, you know, I think it's important, the fact that we put on notice that they have these responsibilities, so they know where they're looking. Okay, what?
We already have a diversity policy.
No, but it's only by.
And the only time faculty really looks at the contract, and I'm the grievance chair too, is when they get into trouble. I mean, it's not like faculty are going to study the CBA to figure out what they're allowed and not to do. For that, they look.
There's a lot of overlap between the CBA and the policy, that alone is research.
And I mean, we will have to discuss that.
Okay, sure. Well, we'll respond.
Okay. Does everybody have copies of the articles that we're discussing right now? You want me to just read my Yeah,
I'd just like to say one thing.
of course.
For those people listening in, the counter proposals are going into chat.
May I ask a question about,
Of course.
it said in the bullying, it only applies to actions of administrators or other university representatives.
But we also have, well, we also have some, at the end is, if a representative of the university has knowledge that an employee is being bullied, harassed by workplace colleagues, staff, administrators, and or students, and fails to stop this bullying and harassment, the representative shall be held accountable by both the UFF and the university.
Wow, I've never seen something like that.
Fail
I
to stop,
did.
what if they do everything they possibly can?
Well,
and
fail
still
to address,
continues?
I can put it, I can put it on fail to address, but this is language, we've done a lot of research that this is language that is, coming on.
But just to be clear, that the bullying provision, so a coworker who's not an administrator or university representative can bully without any repercussions under the contract.
Well, the contract, Gerard, is not regulating faculty on faculty. It's faculty to administrator.
No, I really think that's wrong. I think that,
So I can grieve with faculty colleague of mine for wrongdoing? I don't think so.
what I'm getting at is you can, there's misconduct. So the university responds to misconduct. I mean, I just never seen that narrow reading of this. So
It says in the context of the CBA, and the CBA regulates faculty administrator conduct.
Right, so
Related.
if there's faculty to faculty bullying, and as an administrator, I need to address it, then it is faculty to administrator, and according to this, if I don't, then I'm held accountable.
That's true.
well,
Right, but then you're saying it's not administration of faculty, but it is administration of faculty. If faculty member A is bullying faculty member B, under this, I'm responsible for
Yes.
dealing with faculty member A. So
If you
therefore, it's
fail to do
administration.
that, if you fail to do that, I will
Right,
be able to grieve
Right, but
against you.
then, but it by definition then becomes faculty, administrator to faculty, because I have to deal with faculty member A.
Yeah, that's why we have that in there. If
Right.
you have knowledge, but you fail to deal with it.
Yeah, but what we're talking about is not someone who has knowledge of someone else's conduct, but someone who actually engages in it.
Right.
And so you can have, they are pulling this. You can have inappropriate bullying, if a faculty member against the other faculty member, the administrator against the faculty member against the administrator, right? All of that could happen.
Yeah, but the CBA, the purpose of the CBA is to protect faculty from administrative overreach. Well, it is. So if I'm being bullied by an administrator, then I can grieve against the administrator. But if I am being bullied against by fellow faculty, my colleagues, I cannot grieve against them. I have to go through another university process. I have to follow university policies in order to file a complaint about that bullying colleague of mine. And then if the university fails to act, then yes, I can grieve against the person who should have dealt with it, the administrator who should have dealt with it, but didn't do so.
But you might have a hard time doing that if your definition does not include that bullying could be based on the conduct of the faculty. Because if
We
you,
can put it in there. I am not, are we opposed to that?
no,
Matt?
I guess the other question is, where is there a definition of bullying that we could get a sense of what exactly that is?
It is in here.
It says, well, that says harassment and bullying.
In the context of the CBA, bullying is the repeated use of, by an administrator or other university representative of a written, verbal, or electronic expression for a physical act or gesture, because it's visual as well, or any combination thereof directed at an employee that one, causes physical or emotional harm to the employee or damage the employee's property, two, places the employee in reasonable fear of harm to themselves or damage to their property, three, creates a hostile environment at the university for the employee, four, infringes on the rights of the employee at the university, or five, materially and substantially disrupts the education process or the orderly operation of the university. For the purposes of this section, bullying shall include cyberbullying.
What is repeated? So if somebody, an administrator is going to apply progressive discipline, if the faculty member is doing violating policy and says you can't do A, B, C, and D, this is in violation of university policy, and the faculty member does it again, and the administrator says, as I said before, you can't do it. You can't do that. That's twice that the faculty member has said something to the administrator has said something to the faculty, and if it causes any of these reactions in the faculty member, that's the way it is.
Well, I mean, if the burden of proof is on us, so if the faculty member decides to grieve and UFF has a burden of proof, and you show us that this is part of progressive discipline, then of course the grievance would be moot, but these are not definitions that we made up. I mean, these are well researched in there, and this one is specifically, I believe, being used in Michigan. So, I mean, this is not something where we sat down and just brainstormed. This is something that is in the literature.
How many times is repeated?
Well, it's usually not defined, but if you wish, we can put that in there. But I think it also depends on severity.
So can I, just in response to that, repeat it in the typical language that is used when you're talking about harassment or a hostile work environment. The language is often used as being pervasive, and that's going to be fact specific. So if the bullying, cyberbullying, is bad enough, it could be one incident. So there's not a set number. I think it really would depend on the circumstances and what the bullying entails. If a faculty member says to me, you know, I really don't like you and I'm going to see that you lose your job, and then I complain about it, and then the next time they come back and said, you know, you're still here, so maybe I'll just kill you. Then, I mean, yeah, that's a threat. But I'm just trying to make the point that it might have been only 2 times, but the second time was much more clearly threatening, damaging, bullying than the first. So pervasive.
So you want us to replace repeated with pervasive? Okay, I have no problem with that.
well, we'll found
Okay.
this, and so we can go on to Article 1. Right?
Okay, so the biggest thing that we did is, and here again, we pulled the whole article as is and then made the changes. And the biggest change that we did was with step 3, because if you recall last time in your proposal, you suggested that it should be another step 3 should be decided by another administrator. And we don't think that would serve our membership, our faculty members. And we came up with a counter proposal that where we suggest a committee of 3. And basically that the president is going to select, or her representatives are going to elect a representative who is acting in the interest of the president. We, as USF, are going to get a representative, and then we are going to pick a third neutral person. And there are different ways of selecting this neutral person. We can select with the language that was already in the current CBA. And we also, since this is now going to be in-house, they pretty much the decision in step 3, 60 days is kind of very long. So we we shortened that to 30 days because some of our grievances go on, especially when they go past step 2. And we took out all the stuff that you already had taken out on arbitration. And then the effect of decision, which is point 4. The majority decision or award of the 3-person committee shall be final and binding on the university. So pretty much the only big thing that we did here, instead of having one person who is another administrator making that decision single-handedly, we try to make that a little bit more by having a 3-person committee with 3 people coming from different represent
Neutral person within the university, outside the university.
outside the university.
Outside the university, is that a paid?
Well, I figured we can talk about that. Well, actually, yes, it is, because further down it says that we should be sharing the fees.
For
So,
neutral.
yeah. Yeah. Fees and expenses, that is on the last page. Not the back of the page, but the front of the last page, fees and expenses, and it's pretty much the same as it was before. We just substituted the word arbitrator by step 3 committee, and the fees and expenses of the step 3 committee shall be divided equally between the parties. So that is pretty much what was in the contract already, just we're not doing arbitration as of now.
Is there any questions? Wait to propose. All right, we're gonna take the office.
No, we don't, not right now.
Um,
So guys online, we will be back. We're gonna have a caucus, okay?
Greg, go ahead and pause.
Okay.
And next time we're gonna show you the union movies while we're talking.
So going back to where we were about an hour ago, we have looked over what you proposed for Article 6 and Article 20. It's going to require some additional thought, consideration, work on our side. And we will come back and get a counter to you. If I can make a suggestion, I would say that given this path forward, maybe we should meet more often.
That would be. That they're trying to get meetings.
Well, it's just very difficult during summer. A lot of faculty are not on contract, they're traveling, yeah,
So
yeah,
I think more than once every 6 weeks is.
yeah, we could probably handle that. And
Good.
would be open to that, sure.
Okay. Well, we don't have anything else today, do we? Nope.
Okay.
All right, well, thank you.
I'll be in touch with you. I'll take the meetings.
Thank you all out there.
Thank you.
Okay. Stop recording?
I can stop the recording, please.
We're not leaving.
We're not leaving, I have.